I'm going to start off with graphics and resolution settings. Just a quick disclaimer before we begin, I will not be going over stretch resolution just because that's a whole different topic. First up, we have window mode. If you want the best frame rates and smoothest gameplay, you must play in full screen. If you play in windowed full screen or windowed, Windows will automatically enable VSync, which will make your game a lot slower and your mouse will feel sluggish. So just play in full screen to be safe. Keep your display resolution set to your monitor resolution. And if you do want to lower your resolution, make sure you do it in the 3D resolution section. This will still give you the same in-game frame rate boost, but will prevent other desktop apps from being low res. For frame rate limit, I would just really recommend leaving it on unlimited. You can also cap it at your monitor refresh rate, which can really help you discover when you're dropping frames, just because the number only changes once your frames go lower than your monitor's refresh rate. Before we hop into the main graphics settings, I just want to quickly go over VSync and motion blur. Motion blur creates blur when turning, making it very hard to see opponents. And VSync will make turning and other effects very slow and also cap your frame rate. Long story short, don't use any of these settings. But I would highly recommend putting Show FPS on. This is a very simple but useful option. Now we're going to hop into the important settings. It does not matter what you set your view distance to. You can see players from the same distance away on any setting. In modes outside of Playground, the current render distance for players is 285 meters. The only thing you're missing out on when playing on near render distance is the terrain quality. As you can see, when you look at the left side, all you can simply see is just a rock, but when you look to the right side, you can see more plants and grass appearing near the rock. When it comes to shadows, I'm not going to be showing you guys the differences between quality, just because if you're playing Fortnite competitively, shadows should 100% be off. Shadows give you zero competitive advantage, all they do is limit your visibility. So once again, turn those off. I would say if you're trying to play competitively, make sure you have anti-aliasing off. When you have anti-aliasing on, it definitely smooths out the 3D models, but it gives this weird blur effect to the whole game. By having it off, everything will be a lot more clear. Anti-aliasing sure does look nice, but I find opponents blend in a lot easier to the surroundings, making it a lot more difficult to spot them. Textures and effects are two options I like to group together. Most people tend to keep their textures and effects on low. The reason I keep mine on medium is because I hate the look of chests on low settings. So if you want to play competitively, put your textures to whatever you want, but make sure your effects stay around the range of medium to low, because it affects stuff like stink bombs and explosions, and if you have them too high, the particles can be really annoying. I hope you guys can see the difference, but I just can't handle the look of chests on low settings. Post-processing is a setting that can make your game look absolutely beautiful, but destroys your FPS and limits your visibility by making stuff like grass and trees stand out a lot more. Here you can see the differences between each quality. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the control options. But before we hop into it, I really want to show you something small that I noticed in the camera and display tab. First up, we have toggle sprint and sprint by default. I would highly recommend turning both these settings off just because in build fights it can reset your sprint sometimes, making you walk, and this can really mess you up, especially when doing 90s. My recommendation is if you're tired of sprinting, you can always assign a hotkey on your mouse to auto run, or a keybind if you want. And that means if you're in the open or you just need to free up a finger for a second, you can always click auto run and keep moving while adjusting your hand or whatever you want to do. For sprint cancels reloading, make sure you turn this off. If you have it on, you will not be able to reload while moving, and this can be a huge disadvantage. And some people say it's good to have this option on just because if someone shoots at you, you can quickly stop reloading and shoot them. But it doesn't matter either way, because if you're getting shot at and you have this off, you can just swap to a different weapon quickly. The next two options are controller only, but for the first one, aim assist is a must. If you're on controller and don't turn this on, you're likely going to miss a lot of your shots. Now, edit mode aim assist, I have heard that you want to turn this off if you are on controller, because if you're a fast controller editor, this can mess you up sometimes because it attracts to the nearest edit panel, and this can sometimes edit in the wrong direction. For turbo building, this is automatically on all platforms just because if you don't have turbo building on, you're going to be building a lot slower than the average person, so make sure that this is on. Auto material change is also a must-have because if you run out of materials, especially early game, it can switch, and even when you place and you're out of wood, it will automatically place a metal wall, for example, if you have metal. If you are on controller auto run can also be very useful, especially if you need to like itch your head or something, you know, you can quickly auto run for a second and then, yeah, go back to the game. Now, auto open doors is something that you really should turn off. This is because if you have this off, there's a way to cancel the door opening animation. Here's opening a door with the swap technique, and here's opening a door without the swap technique. As you can see, there is quite a big difference. Now, auto pickup weapons is very good for early game because it can allow you to get the weapons from the chest a lot quicker and most likely faster than your opponents. So if you're on a 1-in-1 chest situation, you'll usually get the gun first and you'll win that gunfight. Now, the auto sort consumables option actually moves all your heals to the right of your hotbar, and this option is just personal preference depending on how you like to organize your hotbar. Personally, for me, I love it just because when I pick up a shield potion or something, it goes to my 6th inventory slot, which is my alt on my keyboard, and it's very useful. And for the controller edit hold time, like, what are you doing? Put this to the bottom. All this does is give you a delay when editing, meaning you can't edit as fast as other people. So make sure that you come to your settings and check that you have this bar set to the lowest. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you found anything of value or that you found useful, feel free to drop a like and consider subscribing. Anyways, with all that being said, I really hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.